Hey everyone, I might do a little series at night time um, where I read a book chapter by chapter and I read it every night. Hope you like it. This book is called The Pumpkin Spice Cafe. It's The Season to Fall in Love by Laurie Gilmore. The Pumpkin Spice Cafe is The Season to Fall in Love by Laurie Gilmore. Chapter 1. Jeannie Ellis had never killed a man before, but tonight mightn't be the night. Desperate times and all, she clutched the baseball bat tighter in her fist and crept down the rickety back staircase. She hadn't slept in 3 nights. Not since moving into the apartment above her aunt's cafe. Well, her cafe, technically. Jeannie was officially the new owner of Pumpkin Spice Cafe, her Aunt Dot's pride and joy until exactly 2 weeks ago when the older woman announced she was retiring, taking off for the Caribbean for a few weeks to work on her tan. Apparently, Dot could think of no one better to take over her beloved cafe than her favourite and only, as Gina pointed out, niece. An idea that was now seemed completely absurd as Jeannie tiptoed off the last step prepared for battle. Every night she'd heard strange noises, scratchy type noises with the occasional clangy bangy type noise. At first she tried to chalk it up to the wind or maybe an animal scurrying through the back alley. She absolutely refused to let her mind take down a path where She absolutely refused to let her mind take off down a path to the worst case scenario like she usually did. She would not allow herself to imagine a serial killer not creeping up the steps. That banging was definitely not an armed robber here to take the meaning change her aunt kept in the cash register. Jeannie was starting fresh. Jeannie was a new woman. The quaint seaside town of Dream Harbour and its inhabitants knew nothing about her, and she planned to take full advantage of that. A shuffling noise at the back door caught her attention. She would take full advantage of her new life, new Jeannie plan as soon as she figured out what was keeping her up at night. No one could live a laid-back, quaint, small-town life with a murderer outside their back door. That was just logical. She choked up on the bat and crossed the small hallway between the stairs and the door that led to the alleyway behind the cafe. Although alleyway wasn't quite the right word for it. Alley conjured images of overflowing trash cans and scurrying rats. But Jeannie wasn't in Boston anymore. She was in Dream Harbour, which she convinced someone must have actually dreamed up. It was far too idyllic to have sprung up naturally. No, the space behind the cafe and the other businesses on Main Street was more like its own little side street with room for delivery trucks and tidy trash bins. She even said seen some of the other shop owners taking breaks and chit-chatting back there during the day. Not that she'd talked to anyone yet. She wasn't quite ready for that, being the new kid. Janie shook her head. Her thoughts were way off track, and she was about to be potentially murdered. Allie or not, whatever was out there keeping her awake, and after 3 nights without sleep, she was barely holding it together. She rested the bat on her shoulder and reached for the doorknob. It was nearly dawn, and weak grey light seeped through the window over the door. Oh, good, Jeannie thought vaguely. At least I'll be able to see my attacker before I die. With that less than pleasant thought in her head, not at all positive new persona she was looking for, she yanked the door open and came face to face with a crate of small pumpkins. Gourds. It didn't matter. because before Jamie could get her produce name sorted, the giant man holding the crate of pumpkins spoke. Or at least he made a gruff, startled noise that reminded Jamie that she was currently holding a baseball bat in a very aggressive manner. She nearly dropped it to her side, but then she remembered this was still a large, strange man. Gourds or no gourds, she probably shouldn't let her guard down just yet. Who are you? She asked, keeping one hand on the door in case she had to slam it in this mysterious pumpkin man's face. His dark eyes His dark eyebrows rose a fraction of an inch, as though he was surprised by her question. Logan Anders, he said, as though that would clear things up for her. It didn't. And what are you doing in my back alley, Logan Anders? She asked. He blew out a frustrated-sounding breath and shifted the crate in his arms. It was probably heavy, but Jeannie would not compromise her safety just because this man was the picture of autumnal bounty with his crate of vegetables and his warm flannel shirt and thick beard. His gaze lingered on his face for a beat longer so she could pick him up out of a lineup, she reasoned. She might need to know that above this beard was a long, straight nose and ruddy cheeks. The police officer might ask her if he had lushes for days, and the answer would be yes. It might be the utmost importance to the investigation to know that even in dim light of the morning she could see that his eyes were a devastating blue. It's Thursday. Janie blinked. Did the day of the week have something to do why this man was there keeping her awake? And you've been keeping me up since Monday? She said. Now it was Logan's turn to look confused. I just got here. He shifted the crate again, his forearms flexing under the strain. It must be really heavy. But he hadn't made any move to come in or set it down. Well, I've been hearing strange noises all week, and I've tried to pretend that it was just the wind or a raccoon or something. But then I started to think that's probably what people tell themselves right before the killer burst through the door. Logan choked a little, his eyes going wide. Killer? Janie felt her cheeks heat up, or maybe she'd let imagination get the best of her, or something. Her voice trailed off. She wasn't really sure what to say to the strange man, and he seemed to be equally at a loss. So, what are you doing here? She prompted. Right, I deliver produce every Thursday. He nodded towards the box of said produce. Jeannie winced. The produce delivery, of course. Aunt Dot had told her so many things in that day before she left, and Jeannie had written none of it down. The cafe had been closed since she got here, and she still hadn't wrapped her head around everything that she needed to be done. Thankfully, Norman, the long-time cafe's manager, was here to help. He assured her that they would have the cafe up and running by the weekend. Logan shifted the box again, the heavy box he was still holding. So sorry. Jeannie stepped back and swept her arm toward the cafe. Come in. We'll find a place to put those pumpkins. Logan hesitated in the doorway, his gaze shifting between Jamie and the bat still poised over his shoulder. Gah, sorry. I won't hit you in the head, I promise. She tried to give him a reassuring smile, but it didn't seem to help. He still hovered in the doorway. I'm really sorry. I assume you were a murderer. It's nothing personal. I haven't slept in 3 nights, and something's been making noise down here, I swear. And I'm still trying to wrap my head around this whole cafe inheritance thing. Logan stared at her, and hesitance still in his eyes. Crap. She probably really scared him. Jeannie had been called intense on more than one occasion throughout her life. She was pretty sure that it was even on a report card or two. It was something she was trying to work on, part of a new Jeannie persona. Less talking, less overthinking, less intensity. She took a deep breath and blew it out slowly. Cafe Jeannie was calm, chill. Just your friendly neighborhood coffee shop owner, ready with a smile and your favorite drink. Not her theories on who that was trying to kill her on any given day, or the latest in Ask Cat melting news, or 18 thinks she had to get done later today. She tried to channel Aunt Dot's free spirit vibes even as she wished the woman had just been slightly less laid back and actually left her more explicit directions. She attempted a gentler, sweeter smile. It felt strange on her face. Please come in. They must be so heavy. Logan gave a slight nod in acknowledgement. I just usually leave it out here. Oh, so it wasn't a monologue scaring him away. She just interrupted his usual operating procedure. She understood very well how that could throw a person off. When her favorite coffee place on the corner was closed for a week, she could barely function. And it wasn't for the lack of caffeine. There was no shortage in cottage coffee shops in the city, but none of them were hers. She had been in a bad mood all week. Her smile was genuine. Her smile this time was genuine. Well, you're here now, and I'm awake. How about a cup of coffee?
Please like and subscribe.